A good soundbar will easily last longer than your TV. So it is always worthwhile spending a little extra for a quality soundbar than buying a cheap soundbar and then regretting it. As TVs have gotten slimmer, their sound output has gotten worse because there's not enough space for good speakers anymore. That is why soundbars and soundbar systems have gone from being a nice to have to almost a must have for a good audio experience. Here are a few general guidelines when you are shortlisting your soundbar. First, if you are looking for a compact soundbar with good dialogue clarity for TV shows or movies, consider at least a 3.x soundbar. The center channel isolates voices so dialogue is crystal clear. If you are looking for a cinematic soundbar, a compact soundbar may not be sufficient. So go for at least a 5.1 soundbar system which has rear speakers. If you are on a budget, prioritize established audio brands like JBL, LG, Philips, or at the very least Zebronics within that budget range rather than going for low-cost brands. Lastly, think about brand synergy. What does that mean? If you have an LG, Sony, or a Samsung TV, going with soundbars from the same brand gives you a tangible advantage. The soundbar can now use the TV's inbuilt speakers as well, in addition to the speakers from within the soundbar, to widen the soundstage. So what do all these mean? Let's look at that in detail in this video. Or you can jump right to my recommendations from the timestamps below. I have analyzed over 140 soundbars in the market to help you select the right one for your perfect viewing experience. Since it is not possible to show all of the products on screen, only a handful will be shown to demonstrate any concept that I'm talking about. There are three main things you need to understand when you're selecting a soundbar. First is how loud is the soundbar. Second, how immersive is the soundbar or the soundbar system. And third, what technologies does it support? So let's start with what most people get wrong when they're selecting a soundbar. They assume that a higher wattage means better sound quality. It does not. It only means that the audio is louder. Higher the wattage, louder is the sound output. So is higher wattage always better? No. Soundbars generally give the best audio output, that is the best clarity, best balance and least distortion when they operate at around 60 to 75% of the maximum volume. So if you buy a high wattage soundbar for a small room, you may not even get to this ideal output range, as at that range it will be too loud in a small room. On the other hand, if you buy a low wattage for a large room, the sound will be barely audible at that range and it will be jarring if you increase to the maximum volume. So your room setup should decide how much wattage you actually need. For cozy rooms, which is small bedrooms or rooms up to 150 square feet, up to a 150 watt is sufficient. On the screen, you can see different room sizes and what wattage or what range of wattage would be ideal for those room sizes. Generally, 100 watt and above should be considered for home use, which is what I have included in this comparison. Many budget brands advertise very high wattage at a very low price. At a higher volume, the audio for these becomes extremely jarring. And that is why it is key to understand the next aspect, the channel configuration. So when you're trying to shortlist a soundbar, you would have seen numbers like 2.1, 5.1.2, 7.2.2 and so on. These are the number of speakers, subwoofers and up-firing speakers or dimensions that the soundbar system has. Let me explain. There are three parts to the channel configuration. Let's say it is X.Y.Z. The first digit tells you how many main speakers you are getting with the soundbar. 2 means you're getting a basic left and right speaker. 3 adds a center channel for clearer dialogue. 5 is full surround sound with rear speakers. And 7 plus are premium setups with additional side channels. The second digit is about bass, which gives that thumping effect you hear in movies and TV shows. That is via the subwoofer. Dot 1 means one subwoofer is present. Dot 2 means dual subwoofers are present for an even richer bass. Sometimes the subwoofer is not a separate device, but it is inbuilt, which is good enough if you want a sleek soundbar, but it is not as good as buying a physical subwoofer. When a physical subwoofer is there, you should consider the size of the subwoofer too. Larger driver size of 10 inch and above gives a deeper, louder bass and are suitable for larger living spaces. The third digit, when it is present, indicates upward firing speakers for height or a more immersive sound experience. Dot 2 means 2 ceiling-bound speakers are present to give the effect of the sound coming from above. Dot 4 means 4 height channels are present for premium immersion. Again here, your channel configuration should match your room size and your room space. On the screen, you can see sound bars with different channel configuration. Choose one based on your room sizes and the effect that you want to get. Sometimes, even if it shows more channels like 5.1, 7.1.4, 9.1.2, there are no physical devices. These are virtual channels, which give the effect of a physical additional speaker or a subwoofer. They use software to simulate the multiple channels. While having physical channels gives better quality and audio immersion, many premium brands like Bose, Sony, Sonos, and LG use virtual channels to keep the soundbar quite compact. Now, in its truest sense, a soundbar is just a single bar that is compact and gives the effect of a home theater system through software processing. In recent years, larger home theater models with subwoofer and rear speakers are also being called soundbar systems. So your choice should also be based on whether you want a compact bar or multiple physical channels for a home theater setup. Now let's talk about the audio technology that is supported. When audio is transmitted to your TV, it is compressed for efficiency. It is the soundbar's job to unpack the compressed audio and distribute it across all the available channels in the soundbar. So in addition to the wattage and the channel configuration, the processing technology that it supports makes or breaks your audio experience. Dolby Atmos and DTS Virtual X are the current gold standards. They create a three-dimensional sound experience so that we can pinpoint exactly where the sound is coming from. For example, audio can come from the left, right, or top based on what is being shown on your TV screen. Dolby Digital is an older standard. It is still decent, but it does lack that vertical dimension that makes modern movies and TV shows feel alive. Budget brands like Boat, Mivi, and Govo, and lower cost soundbars from premium brands like JBL, LG, and Sony more often than not skip these technologies entirely to hit lower price points. Now, for connecting your TV to the soundbar, HDMI eARC port should be your first choice if your TV does support it. If you're buying a Dolby Atmos system, eARC becomes essential. The regular ARC connectivity cannot handle the bandwidth. If you use HDMI eARC, this single cable handles both audio from your TV and lets you control the volume from your existing TV remote itself. Optical and aux are your backup options for older TVs and when HDMI ports are not available. Bluetooth is available by default in all soundbars except some Sonos models, letting you stream music directly from your phone. The other aspect of connectivity is how the subwoofer and rear speakers are connected. You can have wireless or wired connectivity for the subwoofer and the speakers. For the subwoofer, wired is still okay since your subwoofer sits somewhere near your TV anyway. A subwoofer should preferably be kept on the floor and preferably at a corner so that the walls can create boundaries to amplify the bass. For rear speakers though, although audiophiles believe that wired speakers have better sound quality, that has changed in recent times. Wireless speakers save you from the hassle of running cables. The soundbars that you see on the screen use wired rear speakers, so be aware of the wiring needs before you purchase these. Budget models more often than not have wired rear speakers to control the pricing, while many Sony systems continue to have wired connectivity. A common thing that people also miss is the size of the soundbar in relation to the size of the TV. If a soundbar is too small, the audio would sound weak. If the soundbar is too large, it does look odd and the sound can be overpowering. A general guideline is that the width of the soundbar should be equal to or up to 25% smaller than the width of the TV. Where it is relevant, I will mention in my recommendations the width of the soundbar and the TV sizes that it supports. Traditional brands, that is Yamaha, Bose, Sony, Samsung, Philips, Sonos and so on, cost more upfront but deliver better long-term reliability and quality. Budget alternatives can work for basic needs but often compromise on durability and audio fidelity. Warranty is typically 1 year across the board, with some models of JBL, Sonodyne and Sennheiser having a 2-year warranty. After doing a sentiment analysis of 35,000 reviews as expected, premium brands like Samsung, Bose, Sony, LG and Philips have a great product satisfaction and reliable service networks. JBL, Blopung, Sonodyne, Sonos have a great product satisfaction, but service network, especially in the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, is average. Budget brands like Mivi, Govo, Boat, Zebronics have decent product satisfaction, that is, most users are happy with the value they get for the price they paid, but often struggle with service reach and response times. So now that you understand how to shortlist the right soundbar for your needs, let's get to my recommendations at various different budgets. Because there are so many different use cases in soundbars and so many different price points, the recommendation list will be long. But most of my recommendations will be under the 40,000 budget. Let's start with the under 10,000 category. Here you will generally get a 2.x or a 3.x soundbar from leading brands like LG, JBL, Sony, and a few cinematic soundbars from mid-range brands like Zebronics. Like I mentioned earlier, I will prioritize established brands over budget brands, as soundbars are expected to last longer than TVs, so your audio experience should not be compromised. If you're looking for a compact soundbar, that is, soundbars without an external subwoofer or rear speakers, I have two recommendations for you in this budget. The first is the JBL Cinema SB510 soundbar. This is a 3.1 channel configuration soundbar. So it has an extra middle speaker for isolating and enhancing voices. So it is ideal for movies and TV shows. This is a 200 watt soundbar with an inbuilt subwoofer, so suitable for small to medium sized rooms. The soundbar is about 38 inches or little over 3 feet, so suitable for TVs up to 65 inches. Next is the LG Soundbar SP2. This soundbar has an inbuilt subwoofer as well, so no extra unit on the floor. It automatically analyzes the content and optimizes audio settings for clear dialogue and action scenes. This is a 100 watt soundbar, so it is ideal only for small rooms. The soundbar is small, about 30 inches or 2.5 feet only, so it is ideal for TVs up to 55 inches. If you're looking for additional bass for that thumping effect, you would need a soundbar with a subwoofer. Again, here I have two recommendations for you. First is the Philips AudioTab 4228 soundbar. This has a 160 watt output, so ideal for small to medium sized rooms up to 160 square feet. The subwoofer is wired, but generally since the subwoofer is close to the soundbar, this should not be much of an issue. It has 3 dedicated sound profiles for music, movies and news to adjust the vocal clarity fairly quickly. Overall, good soundbar from a good brand on a budget. The width is about 38 inches, so suitable for TVs up to 65 inches. Next is the JBL Cinema SB271 soundbar. This has a wireless subwoofer, so you have the flexibility of placing the subwoofer in a location where you would get the best bass. This is a 2.1 system with a separate voice mode to enhance vocal frequencies, so reasonably clear voice even without a separate voice channel. The width is about 38 inches, so again suitable for TVs up to 65 inches. Now let's talk about cinematic soundbars. You get a cinematic experience only with a 5.1 soundbar and above. At this budget, you will only get budget or mid-range brands which give this experience, and I have only one recommendation for you here. And that is the Zebronics Juke Bar model that you see on the screen. This has a 525 watt output with a 6.5 inch subwoofer and a 5.1 physical surround sound. So good enough for large living spaces at a budget pricing. The connectivity is convenient as well. Both wireless subwoofer and wireless satellite speakers, reducing cable clutter. The drawback is that the build quality is flimsy and after sales is poor. Now let's talk about the 10 to 20,000 budget. In this segment, you start getting good cinematic soundbars from established brands. There are limited compact soundbars in this segment, that is soundbars without physical subwoofers. All of these soundbars are suitable for rooms up to around 400 square feet. First, let's talk about soundbars with physical subwoofers. My first recommendation here is a soundbar with good audio clarity with a 3.1 channel sound system. That is the Samsung soundbar that you see on the screen. It has a wireless subwoofer of about 6 inches, which provides deep bass, and being wireless, you can place the subwoofer anywhere where you can hear the best bass. This is a modular soundbar, which means at any point you can add additional rear speaker kits, although that is frequently out of stock. At a lower price point, you can consider the Samsung model that you now see on the screen, which has almost similar capabilities without the central speaker, which makes dialogues even more clear. Next is the Sony S400 soundbar. This includes Sony's S-Force Pro surround sound technology, which is Sony's proprietary processing which virtually recreates surround sound using only the 2 front speakers. The subwoofer is wireless in this case and sleek, so it can be hidden in plain sight. Despite only being 2.1, the dialogue quality is better than most mid-range brands' 3.x channel soundbars. There is no ability to manually adjust the treble and mids, so you will be restricted to Sony's preset sound profiles, which in my opinion is good enough. Next is the LG soundbar that you see on the screen. Now, if you're using an LG TV, then the WOW interface integration allows you to control the soundbar's volume, EQ settings and sound modes through your standard TV remotes. The soundbar has processing to automatically adjust the equalizer to enhance vocal clarity during dialogue delivery or to boost bass during action sequences. This soundbar is about 28 inches in width, so it is suitable for TVs up to 55 inches only. Next is the JBL Cinema SB190 soundbar. This is one of the few soundbars at this budget that supports virtual Dolby Atmos, which creates a more immersive sound experience without actually having additional up-firing speakers. The HDMI eARC connection helps to pass the high bandwidth Atmos signals without compression. A common complaint is that at max volume, the treble can be quite piercing. But like I mentioned before, 60 to 75% volume is where you get the best audio clarity. And lastly, on a budget, I recommend the Philips Tab 4330 soundbar. This has an 8-inch large subwoofer, which means it delivers punchy and deep bass. But the subwoofer connectivity is wired, which restricts where you can place the subwoofer. This is ideal for small to medium-sized rooms and for TVs up to 65 inches size, although up to 55 inches would be a better fit. For a cinematic effect in this segment of soundbars, you would need a soundbar and a subwoofer and rear speakers. Again, here I have two recommendations for you. My first recommendation is the Sony HD-S20R soundbar. This has a subwoofer and compact rear speakers to deliver cinematic audio experience. It has a 400 watt output, so suitable for medium to large size rooms. The subwoofer is large at 12 inches, so it delivers deep bass. The main drawback is the subwoofer and the speakers are wired, so you will need to factor in the additional wiring costs and overheads that it involves. This is ideal for those who want a Sony soundbar system for a cinematic experience, but those who are on a budget. My next recommendation is the Zebronics Jukebox 9775. This soundbar system has dual wireless subwoofers and wireless rear speakers for a true surround sound. The dual subwoofers give powerful distortion-free bass, and the inclusion of Dolby Atmos helps to separate out the channels to give an immersive cinema-like experience on a budget. Users have reported deteriorating quality, however, at high volumes and issues with setting up the wireless connectivity. Customer service is also lax and also non-responsive. Next, let's come to the 20 to 40,000 segment. In this segment, you get premium brands with wireless subwoofer and wireless rear speakers, as well as advanced sound processing for that cinematic experience that you expect from soundbars. Now again, let's start with soundbars which are compact with subwoofers but no rear speakers. My first recommendation here is the Sony Bravia Theatre Bar 6. This is a 3.1.2 channel soundbar, which means it has a center channel for good audio quality and two up-firing speakers on the bar for Atmos height effects through the sound bouncing off the ceiling. Sony's 360 spatial sound mapping technology makes the audio feel very wide in spite of lacking physical rear speakers. If you want a compact soundbar from a premium brand, then this is the right choice. If your preference is for a cinematic experience with rear speakers as well from Sony, the same is also available in the 5.1 channel configuration, the Sony Bravia Theatre System 6, which is available at about 15,000 higher. Next is the LG S77TY soundbar. This is a 3.1.3 soundbar that has a central speaker for great dialogue clarity and three up-firing speakers to create a good immersive experience. If you already own an LG TV, the Wow Synergy feature merges the soundbar and the TV into a single ecosystem, allowing you to control the soundbar through the TV's on-screen interface. This 400 watt soundbar is ideal for medium to large living rooms. Compared to Samsung or Sony, LG's wireless subwoofers are tuned for a subtle acoustic accuracy rather than an aggressive thump. Next is the JBL Cinema SB590 soundbar. Again, this one has a central channel for vocals. The wireless subwoofer is tuned for the aggressive low-end thumping that JBL is famous for. It also has the HDMI, eARC and Dolby Atmos support, so no audio delay and can handle uncompressed Dolby Atmos formats quite well. The build quality and bass performance of this product is well appreciated by many users. Customer service, however, is not great. Now let's talk about cinematic soundbars with rear speakers in this budget. My first recommendation is the Sony HD-S40R soundbar system. It is a solid choice if you're looking for a premium, genuine 5.1 soundbar experience with wireless rear speakers and a powerful bass for movies, TV shows and music in medium to large size rooms. The subwoofer is wired, however, which in my opinion is quite fine as it needs to be close to the soundbar anyway. And it does lack Dolby Atmos. The rear speakers are wireless, making it more convenient to set up. For an even more powerful sound output, the Sony S500 RF soundbar with a massive 1000 watt output would be suitable for people who want loud club level volume and deep bass. But remember, this is a fully wired system. Both subwoofers and rear speakers are wired, so it can be inconvenient if you don't have that setup configured. Next is the LG S65TR soundbar system, which has almost similar capabilities like the Sony S40R, 600 watt output, 5.1 channels, but it comes with a wireless subwoofer and wireless rear speakers, so it is more convenient from a setup point of view. Like the other LG soundbars recommended, this works well with the LG TVs via their WOW interface that allows you to operate and see the soundbar settings on the TV. The AI Sound Pro also helps to analyze the sound source and tweak the equalizer in real time. And lastly, the Zebronics Jukebar 10000. This soundbar is power-packed with 7.2.4 channel configuration, which means 2 subwoofers, 2 rear speakers with their own up-firing speakers, and 2 additional up-firing speakers on the soundbar, along with a central channel for good audio clarity. This also supports true Dolby Atmos and can utilize all of these channels for an immersive sound experience. Zebronics support, however, is average at best, and build quality is not good as the other premium brands that I have recommended. Now, above 40,000, you can expect a full immersive home theater experience from premium brands. There are a few products that I'd like to recommend here. First is the Samsung Q990F soundbar system. This has 11.1.4 channel configuration with dedicated up-firing and side-firing drivers on the main bar, which helps to bounce off the sound from ceilings and walls for a 360-degree spatial audio. If you have a compatible Samsung TV, you can also utilize the TV's top and side speakers together with the soundbar to broaden the soundstage. The speaker also supports Dolby Atmos, so you can achieve 11.1.4 channel separation to give an immersive sound experience. Overall, a great option for a premium soundbar for your home theater setup. Next, there are a few different variants of the Sony Bravia Theater Bar. You can choose one based on your preference and your budget. The Theater Bar 6 that I recommended earlier is the 3.1.2 soundbar from Sony, while the Theater Bar 8 and the Theater Bar 9 are Sony's flagship compact soundbar designs. Both of them can be expanded to add subwoofers and speakers for a more immersive experience. The Theater System 6 is an equivalent of the 5.1 soundbar system. The Theater Bar 6 and 8 are more compact and meant for TVs up to size 65 inches, while the Theater Bar 9 is wide and suitable for large TVs above 65 inches. Given that the Theater Bar 8 and 9 are standalone soundbars, they use advanced processing to create a 360-degree spatial sound with their 11 and 13 channels respectively. So in short, choose the Theater Bar 6 or Theater System 6 if you want a complete ready-to-go system, the Theater Bar 8 for a compact bar for TVs up to 65 inches, and the Theater Bar 9 for a compact soundbar for TVs over 65 inches. And lastly, the ultra-premium Sony Bravia Theater Quad soundbar system that you see on the screen. This has 4 identical wireless speakers, ideal for design-conscious users who want an aesthetic audio experience. The speakers are really thin and look like premium home decor rather than traditional tech hardware. The speakers are wirelessly connected and each of the 4 speakers has up-firing speakers as well to generate a 360-degree surround sound. But since it is missing a subwoofer, you will not get a deep bass unless you purchase a subwoofer separately. Of course, there are many more products from Bose, Sonos, Sennheiser and other premium brands. But in the interest of time, I will cover those in a different video if there is interest from you all. So drop me a comment. If you found this video useful, share the video and subscribe to become part of the 2 lakh plus community that trusts us with their decision making. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.